The Art Thief by Michael Finkel. Stéphane Breitwieser is one of the most famous art thieves of all time. Over the course of 6.5 years, he stole 239 paintings from over 172 museums. How much was all that art worth? Approximately $2 billion. Billion with a B. The funny thing is that he wasn't interested in the money. I think that's one thing that makes his story so fascinating. He stole things that he thought were beautiful, and he wanted to take them home and have them so he could look at them whenever he wanted. He never even tried to sell any of them. That billion-dollar hideaway that he was building up happened to be in his mother's attic. He lived there with his mother and his wife in this small town in eastern France. And that's the other fascinating part of the story. His wife also really liked art, and then they started working together like a young Bonnie and Clyde, going all over Europe and stealing art and taking it back to their house. The mother, meanwhile, was suspicious but knew never to go up into the attic. It's a great trio of characters. Just from if they were characters in a novel, it would just be perfect. You have the guy who's obsessed with art, and he is really smart and knows everything about each of the art pieces, and he's just living in the clouds of this artistic world. And then you have the more down-to-earth, cool-headed, cautious wife that still goes along with him, but is trying to rein back his passion for stealing these art pieces. And then the mother that's kind of on the edge of finding out what's happening, but it doesn't want to ruin the life of her only son. So it's a great story setup just with those three characters alone. So this story has all the elements of an awesome movie. How is there not already a movie out? Apparently there's already a movie in the works to be made of his life story called The Sleeping Shepherd, but according to IMDb it's still in production or something. I don't know, we'll see where it goes. But in my head, I can already see the trailer for that movie, and it just looks awesome. So why do we love these kinds of stories? I think there are so many angles to it. One, I think art is just fascinating, how we can have emotional reactions to just paint on a piece of paper, on a canvas. That's fascinating by itself. But also there's the history that goes along with it, because a lot of these art pieces are very old. A lot of them have a big story behind them. So that's fascinating. And I also think the economics of art we're naturally interested in. Like, how can you take a piece of paper that's nearly worthless and then apply ink and paints and colors to it, and suddenly it's being sold at an auction for over $1 million. It's just amazing. And of course, everybody likes a good heist story. So you put all those elements together and you have an engaging story. This one's also fascinating because you have a serial thief, and so you have him getting more and more artworks in this attic of his, and you keep wondering how is this going to end? What's going to happen? Is the mom going to stumble in on the attic? Is the wife going to get cold feet? Is the main character going to make a mistake and get caught? What is going to happen? And even if he's successful, what's going to happen with all this? What's going to happen in the attic with all this art? That's worth $2 billion. It was a great way to sustain suspense through the book, because this is a true story, but I had never heard of this guy before. I had no idea how it was going to end, so I had to keep reading because I had to know what happened. There were a lot of interesting side points that he gets to in this book. Just to list out a few, I didn't know there was a medical term for the physical reaction that people get from looking at art called Stendhal syndrome. That was fun to read about. Also, it turns out that judging from the most popular art over history, our favorite colors in art are blue, and our least favorite color is orange. I don't know exactly where they're getting that or how they calculated that, but still, fun fact of the day. Also, it turns out that this art thief's favorite heist movie is the Thomas Crown Affair with Pierce Brosnan. I've never seen it, but now I feel like I should check it out. Anyway, I thought the book was great. It had some serious Catch Me If You Can vibes to it, a movie I also really enjoyed. I won't spoil the end and say what happens to the paintings, what happens to him, what happens to his wife and mother and so on, but it is incredible. I'm still just trying to wrap my head around how it all ended up, because it's crazy to me. I'll leave it at that. But as for the book, I'm going to give it 4.5 stars.